Hey guys, I'm at Oliver's Tree Net today, and we've got one perimeter rope set up and then another one on this base. So we're going to be adding kind of like a sloped back to this, and I'll teach you guys how to do some knots and then set up the beginning of your weaving on a tree net. What we're going to start out with is a taut hitch, because most of the time you're going to want to do a clove hitch when you're on the perimeter, but since this is an angled part of the rope and we're going to be going kind of at a diagonal up to that rope, you're going to want to do a taut hitch, because that has a lot more friction on it because it has an extra loop compared to the clove hitch. And that will allow it to stay in place and not slide with the friction. So the clove hitch, you start by going under, over, you make a little bit of a figure 8. So see how I tucked it under here, and then it comes under again. So you're again making this figure 8 shape, and then you see your figure 8. So you've got over here, you go across, and then through, and that is your clove hitch. And that is great. It's a super sturdy knot. It's not going to come undone. The problem is that it does slide because it doesn't have the amount of friction that a taut hitch does. The taut hitch is a lot easier. However, you do require a stopper knot. You should probably do a stopper knot on every knot that you tie. Like this one right here is a clove hitch, but I tied a stopper knot because it's always just good to have that as a backup, especially when your body weight's going to be supported on these. The taut hitch is a lot easier. So you literally just go over twice. So there's 1 and 2. Then you cross over this working rope, the lead rope, cross over it, and then you're going to go over one more time and then duck through. And that's your taut hitch. You pull it, and then that one's not going to slide. Like, I pull it in either direction, and it's not going to slide like the clove hitch, because this second loop that you do over here creates enough friction for it not to. You can also do just a regular half hitch. You only go over once, and then you flip over to here, and that one's going to be also more friction than the clove hitch. However, it's not as sturdy. So this one will be when you're tying off to other weaving ropes rather than perimeter ropes. I like the taut hitch, the double loop. So one more time here, over again, across, one more loop, and then bringing it through that U shape that you've just created. And there's your taut hitch. And then to tie your stopper knot, it's just going to be a regular overhand knot here. So just regular overhand, and slide that as close to the knot as you can. And now this rope is secure. It's not going anywhere. And now you can use this to start looping into your weaving. Since it is going to be crossing this, I would like to include it. So since I'm touching a perimeter rope, I'm going to double loop it. All right, there's one, and then toss it over one more time to get your double loop there, and then really just repeating this process over and over again to create the beginning of your weave. So the beginning of your weave is going to look like a bunch of triangles kind of zigzagging, and then to finalize the weave, then it's more of an intricate pattern of up and down, but this is how you set it up. I want it to be kind of a fine weave, so I'm going to go in between each one of these. So I bring it down, again, loop through towards me, pull it through, and then do it twice again. You get the gist of it. Just do that over and over again until you reach over there, and then I'll teach you guys how to tie it off. All right, now that I have finished weaving, starting from this knot here, going up, looping around, and doing a zigzag. Each zigzag is about a hand width apart. Then we've done our taut hitch here. There is no stopper knot because this is continuing to be working rope. However, I did run out of rope. So now I'm going to teach you how to connect 2 ropes with a double fisherman's knot. Double fisherman's, you're going to line up your 2 ropes like this. First one is going to go over twice. So there's 1 and then 2. And then once you've reached that second, you're going to loop back behind and through. So then that is just a single fisherman's on that rope. Again, you're doing the exact same thing on this one. So you're going over once, over twice. And now once you have that, you loop behind, and then to show, there we go, going through both of those loops right there. and that's how you do double fishermen's. So then you tie that one tight, and then you slowly pull them together. This is also good for like joining necklaces and stuff. And double fishermen's are pretty sturdy on their own. They don't need a stopper knot, but it's always good to have one. I'm not sure if I have enough rope at the end here. Let's see if we can fit in a quick stopper knot. There we go. It does make it look a little bit bulkier if you care a lot about the aesthetics of your net, but it's always good to have a stopper knot just for safety. And that is how to combine 2 ropes. Now that we have this, it is continuing to be our working rope now that we have a little bit more length. So we've got the taut hitch here. That's a set amount of tension. We're gonna hook this over here, get a double loop real quick. You want your body weight to be off the net when you're working on it so that you can create as much tension as possible. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with a lot of slack. So there, we've looped it over the perimeter once. Pull it. To pull tension is your first loop, and then the second one is to lock tension. For the next part, we're gonna be setting up the interweave, and I like to use this thing called a netting needle. You can get a pack of like 8 of them on Amazon for under $10. They're really helpful. I would use one that's bigger than this. I just lost my bigger one. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start with your paracord here. I like to hold it with my thumb, and then you loop it over, under, and then you go to the other side, and you're literally just going from left to right, through, under, flip. Left, right, under, flip. Left, right, under, flip, and that allows you to load this whole needle so you don't have to pull your whole length of paracord with you at all times. So, to start out your weaving, you are going to want to first create your anchor point, and you don't want it to be on the beginnings of your weaving because that will just suck in this whole thing with tension, and you don't want that. You want this to actually pull into the tree so that you get a little bit more of an expanded backrest rather than having it all bunched together. So what you're going to want to do is create your anchor. You're just going to tie it around the tree, and it's more secure for perimeters if you double around the tree, but when you're just doing stuff like this, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to do a clove hitch on this one, and then always at the end of pretty much anything that's important, you're gonna get your stopper knot, and that is going to slide closer to the tree like a noose. Make sure that that's tight, and now we can start our weaving. So keeping my weight off of the net as much as possible, you're going to want to loop first just one time around the inner weave. So you're going to want to work in an inside-outside fashion. So I'm going inside first, and now I'm going to work outside, so pointing to the left. So that's a left-right here, looping into the right, and I pull my tension towards me, and then I lock it by pulling away. Now we're going to the left, through, and to the left, pull tension towards me, lock it away from me. Through and to the right, pull tight, and to the left, pull, lock. All right, now coming together with the second row, you can see how it's starting to bring together the net. Another thing I like about the needle, if you drop it, it won't unspool very far. It'll maybe go 1 or 2 times, but it'll just hold your rope for you. Now that I have tied this around the tree, that's my anchor point. So we're gonna start going to the right here. It's gonna be right, pull, lock, left, pull, lock. Finishing up the 4th line that we have of the interweave, and I ditched the needle because we have a very short amount of rope. So I've just gone up, so now I'm gonna go down, up, and again, towards is to pull the tension, away is to lock. Now that we've reached the end here, we're gonna have to do a double fisherman's, but since I don't wanna lose my tension, I'm going to do a half hitch here. So we're already over, and instead of just going straight across, we're gonna go forward, loop it, and that will hold our tension. There's a little hitch. But we've got the rest of our rope loaded up on the needle. We're going to do our double fisherman's here. Here we're gonna loop it around the tree. So pulling this to tension, And now we're going to do our half hitch here. So quick under, and then cross, and then under through. And now we've got this loop. We're gonna tuck the rope through. Super easy. There we go. And that'll hold everything in place. And one tip when using the netting needle is that you always still want to be pulling on the rope using your hand. You don't want to rely on this needle to pull tension, because this middle little needle that it has that's holding all the rope, it snaps off really easy. And I've gone through so many of these. And now this is a comfortable backrest. You can sit down here, relax, nice view.